Welcoming you all to today's lecture on scripting languages. This course, the course outline is very simple. You're supposed to be learning three scripting languages. Um, One of them is Python, another one is PHP, and then the last one is JavaScript. All right, we have 3 months to treat all these programming language. Sorry, these three scripting languages. So each month we will start with one. And then what we are going to be doing is that um, for our final week in every month, you'll get a mini project that you are going to work on the language. So I'll be beginning with the Python language. The next week, God willing, when we meet, sorry, next month or after some weeks, or after the project that you guys will work on, our resumption will be a new language, which will be the PHP. Same way the PHP to have a project to be worked on, and then we have the JavaScript to also be on. Yeah, so that is what we are going to be doing. So you guys have a lot of work to do. I'll just spike you guys up. I'll just lay the foundation, and you have to go and master at the end, at your end. Yeah, so you have quite a little deeper things to can't treat everything. Yeah, so I'll just get you started, then you can complete. Can go ahead and do more. All right, so our first language is Python. All right, so before I continue, do you have any question that you would want to ask? Yeah, I've forgotten. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Kingsley Drew, as you can see there. And then you have the course code at CSSD 204. I hope you meet in person, then have more interactions as well. All right, so any question at all before we continue? All right, Ellie Kem.
Okay, so I want to ask the Python, are we going to do it to the last end of like Python, or we are just doing the basics?
So like I was saying, I will get started with you with the basics, and you are supposed to go and complete it. So as far as you can go, that is your problem, your problem. Because I can't, there's no way even the whole semester cannot even treat the Python itself. Yeah, so we'll just touch on each of them for you to be well abreast with some of the environment, some of the techniques, and then you guys should go ahead and carry on with that. Are you okay? So the project that
Yes,
I'll
sir.
give to you that will help you to move around or to search for ways and means to come out from that particular problem. Kwate, what is your name? Is it in or N?
And
N.
sir, this is enough. Yes, please.
All right.
Sir, please, we just joined, so kindly go over. I heard that you said you'll be doing some three languages or something. So
Yeah.
kindly go over just one.
Don't worry, I'm recording this. So when I send you the recording, you go what it's out because
All
uh
right, all right.
because others will come late. When they come when they also ask that question, then I have to repeat myself from time to time. And I don't think it will help
No,
us. But let me just
all
go
right,
ahead
no.
and so it will be Python, PHP, and JavaScript. All right. Have you gotten it in?
And yes, please, I've gotten it to say.
And hey, okay. So they gave you this name and you just accepted it. All right. So let's go ahead. Okay, that's my first time of seeing it, and it's kind of interesting. All right, so Python is a high-level integrated language, both used for scripting and programming language. So it's created by Van Rossum. Yeah, so Python can be used for web development, software development, data computations, that's big data, and also system scripting. Yeah, so what can Python do? Python can be used on the server to create web applications. Python can be used alongside other software to create workflows. Python can connect to database systems. It can also read and modify files. Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematics. It can also be used for rapid prototyping. Still under that's still under software. Why Python? So Python can work on different platforms. So whether you are using Windows, Mac, Linux, or other um, operating systems, Python will still work fine. So Python has a simple syntax similar to the English language. One of the reasons why we are tackling Python, aside it being the latest, or let's say the latest and yet popular uh, language, it's also close to the English language, which I'm hoping that you guys will understand the language quickly. Python has a syntax that allows developers to write programs with fewer lines than other programming languages. Python runs on other interpreter system, meaning that that code can be executed as soon as it is written. This means that prototyping can be quick. So Python runs really fast. The interpreter system used helps it to run really fast. So uh, it's a good language to learn. Now, the most recent major version of Python is Python 3, which I'll be using in this particular tutorial. However, Python 2 is also fine, but let's get abreast with the Python 3. That will make our lives quite easier. Now, in this lecture, Python will not just be written in a text editor, but also it will be written in some IDEs, such as the Tony, PyCharm, NetBeans, Eclipse, which are particularly useful for managing larger collection of Python files. For this particular class, we will be using the PyCharm for our coding. If you want to use Tony, Eclipse, NetBeans, that is your class. That will be your issue. Uh, but I will be using the PyCharm because I'm quite conversant with the PyCharm for my Python codes. All right, so there's a link that I'll provide that will help you to go and download the PyCharm in order to install it before our next class, or maybe you can just install it, and then if there's any project, you can try your hands on whilst you learn. All right, so Python's syntax compared to other programming languages. Python was designed for readability. Yeah, Python was designed for readability and has some similarities to the English language with influence from mathematics. Now, Python uses new lines to complete a command as opposed to other programming languages, which often use some semicolon or a parenthesis. Now, let me ask, have you done any programming language?
Yes, sir.
Which
Yes,
language
sir.
is that? Which language is that?
C plus plus.
C++.
C plus plus.
C
Oh,
plus plus.
so you guys
HTML.
have HTML. HTML says okay. That's another scripting language. All right, so that's good. So which means you guys are really good when it comes to programming. That's fine. So to make my work
Okay.
quite easy. Come again.
Java.
Someone said something.
Sir, please you can continue.
All right, thank you. So Python relies on indentation, uh, using white spaces to define scope. All right, so with the indentation, I'll like in our further discussions whatsoever or lecture, I'll explain the indentation. It's very, very crucial when it comes to writing the Python land. Yeah, before that, the point two, you know that when you're writing the C++ program, every line of code should end with a semicolon. Yeah, so um, Python does not require you to, employ the semicolon. You just write it. There's nothing like a terminator or putting a full stop to ensure that you've ended the line. Python doesn't require that. Yeah, so Python actually makes your life quite easier. Trust me, it is easier than the C++ study. So those who didn't get the concept in C++, this is your moment to capture the Python language as well. All right, so with the uh, Python sample code, this is an example. Print brackets opened, we have quotes, then hello world, then closing quotes, then we have the closing bracket. Now, print is just tantamount to the cout that you guys saw when you were coding in C++. So in C++, how do you I output a message?
See out, then the message.
Yeah, see out and the message. Thank you so much. See out and the message. Give me the information. Give me the right words. Sorry, the right ingredients in seeing out. Yes, anyone? Sarah, tell us how you write, how you display in an information. Before that, Elikem, hold on. I want Sarah to answer that. Or she's offline. Hey, Sarah, we are waiting for you. All right, maybe she's offline. All right, God will, yeah, God will, yeah. Give it to us.
Okay, so before you see out or you want to see out hello world in C++, you would have to include the
Don't worry.
live
No, 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 no,
demos.
no. Just give me
Okay,
the straight. Just give me that
okay,
code.
so
Yeah.
you have see out
Uh-huh.
less than the less than sign two,
Okay.
then into bracket hello world, then
Into
bracket and
into brackets,
into no, sorry, no into
into
quotation
quotes.
mark. Is it? Yeah, into quotes.
Okay,
Into
continue.
quotes hello world. Then the semicolon
The
comes
semicolon comes
and
in. All right,
then
yeah.
return zero.
All right, thank you. Yeah. So I wanted the C out as well. Yeah. So unlike the C++ where you have the C out left angle brackets, you have two of the left angle brackets, then with the quotes, then you terminate. Um, Python actually uses the method print or in smaller letters. Then we have an opening and closing parenthesis, which is the bracket. And inside the bracket, if the message is already in a variable, you just pass it the variable name. If not, put in the quotes and you pass your message. All right, so that is a sample code with the Python. Yeah, so very soon we'll just dive deeper um, to that. Yeah, so you may have to go back and revive your algorithms because you need that for this particular course. I'm not going to teach that one because I believe that since you guys have done C++, there is a high possibility that you've touched on algorithms because there is no way you will touch on any programming language without dealing with algorithms. Yeah, so go and revive that. Then that will be that for this particular slide. Right, so I'm just going to go right on to the next slide. All right, so after this class, I'll share the slides. So no one should ask me where the slides are. Definitely, every course should, provide a slide or lecture notes for the students. Yeah, so we are now getting started with the Python. Now, many PCs and Macs will already, have the Python installed. So to check if you have it installed, whether it's your Windows PC or your Mac, your Macintosh, there's a way to check whether it is there or not. whether it's installed or not. Now, so to check whether it has been installed or not, we type the keywords here, Python, with a space, the double dash, then continue with the word version. So you just type this in the command prompt, and then to tell you whether or not you have Python or not. Yeah, so I'm going to demonstrate that for us to see. All right, so I'll come here to the start menu. Then in the search here, I'll search for command. So I'm looking for this guy in the command prompt. So I'll go ahead and open it. So once it is being opened, I want to check if I have Python on it. So I'll be like Python space the double dash, then we have the version. So once you type that, you strike on the enter key, then you wait for the message that will appear. So luckily, I won't say luckily, for me, I have the Python, and it is Python 3.13.2. When you download yours, whatever version it is, just keep it like that. Maybe it will be 3 point something else, but I have 3.13.2. Okay, so if you don't have it, it will flag an error or a message letting you know that you don't have Python on the system. Right, so I'll exit right now. For the sake of uh, learning, I'm going to repeat it again. So I first go to the button there, the start button, then search for the command prompt. So after searching for the command prompt, then I can go ahead, type in like Python, I say Python dots, sorry, dash dash version, and strike enter. Yeah, so that is that. So that's the command line for running our Python. Yeah, so that is that. Now to check if, all right, so in the same way, if you want to check whether you have Python installed on your Linux operating system or your Mac operating system, the same thing, works here. All right, so you can go ahead and download the Python and then use it for your, so click on this link to take you to where you're supposed to go and download that. All right, so Python quick start. Anytime you write a program in Python, the file extension is py for Python. So these files in a text editor, and then can go ahead and run the code. Now, so to run the code in the command line, we use the keyword Python followed by the name of the file with the file extension py. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that for us to see. All right, so to do this, I'll open a text document, fresh page like that. Then we have print with our hello world. Or let me say hello. So this one is group. Which group? Which groups have I combined here?
B.
And then
D.
E. All right. So once I'm done, I just do that. Yeah. So we have print hello groups B and what E. And once you are done, you go ahead and save your work. Sorry. Yeah. So for the first time, yeah, you have to save your work. So I'm going to use groups BC. So BE dot py. So I have groups be dot. So the name of the file is groups be. Then the file extension py as for this. Yeah, so I'm storing that in my desktop. So I go ahead and say save. All right, so I'm now going to run the code in the command line. So this is the text editor, and I want to see whether my codes are really working. Right now, we've not installed the PyCharm, so we want to run the code in the command line. So I'll go back to the command line. So I'll look for command prompts, open that. and then I'll search. So our slide says that to run the code, you need to type in Python and the name of the file dot extension. Right, so let's do that. Python. Then I have oops be.py. All right, so having an error. It says Python cannot open file. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, so um this particular file cannot be found in this particular location. So I have to change my. Remember, we stored it on the desktop. So I'll change my directory to the desktop session, desktop folder. Sorry. So I've changed the direction, which is CD. So now I'm in the desktop area. So I'll go ahead and type my Python. Then the name of the file, which is groups be.py. All right, so successfully it has displayed or printed the information we placed in there. So hello groups B and E. All right, so this is how you can run. So anytime you want to run, you just need the keyword Python and the name of the file with the extension as well, and then to run successfully for you on the command section. So I'll exit on that. All right, so this slide is also still explaining uh, that part. What, but you won't allow me to finish. All right, what is it?
So please, in the absence of command prompts or the command line, can you use PowerShell?
Yeah, you can use the PowerShell. It works perfect. Yeah, you can use the PowerShell. Sorry. It works perfect. Sorry. So yeah, so I have the PowerShell here. Yeah, so you can go ahead and try that one too. Python dash dash. You can see that has displayed that to me too. So it's here. Yeah, so whether you want to use a shell, you want to use the command line, you are welcome. All right. So this slide is still explaining. So once you are able to do that, then congratulations, you have written your first Python program. All right. Sorry. So these are still, once you do practicals, it's so easy. It's, everything here is giving you all the things you need, you know. So it's still self-explanatory. Then we also have the Python indentation. So with the Python indentation, this is just the indentation. Now, when I look at the if statement here, you've not gotten to the if statement, but I just want to explain the indentation. Now, the indentation is nothing but just like a space. Now, let's look at this sentence here. Assuming this is a line of code, this is also another line of code. Now, indentation is nothing but the extra space left between the margin, okay, on a normal margin. So let's assume that this is our normal margin, but we given a space before this indentation word begins. The space between that margin and the space before the first code is written is what we call the indentation, and it is really, really critical or essential. If you do it wrong, if you do it wrongly, it will give you an error, to flag an error. All right, so Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code. Now, in C++, to indicate a block of code, we use curly brackets or even normal brackets, and also we have other braces that will be there that is also used to show some level of blocks of codes. If you remember your if statement in C++, if you write if, you open and close a bracket, then you have a curly bracket, and then the opening curly bracket and the closing curly bracket. Those ones are used to show a block of codes. But in Python, we don't use curly brackets. So to show a block of code, you have to indent your uh, your next code. So you can see that with our if statement here, we have if 5 is greater than 2 with a colon. Then when you strike enter, automatically in some of the IDEs like the NetBeans, Eclipse, and PyCharm, automatically to create that particular what's the name, the indentation. So you can see that the P is not exactly under the I. So the margin is not starting from that. So print here has been shifted, which means that the print the print statement is under the if statement. Now, when you write the code like this, where the print begins from there, from here, you're going to get an error because the if structure expects something to happen under it. It needs extra codes to continue or to be complete. But here's the case: the print here is beginning, so the PyCharm or your IDE will not know that this is an so the IDE will actually think that this is a complete code, but it will get to know that the if structure has no extra information. So for the if to be complete, there should be an extra information. And here's the case: the IDE will not know that there is an extra information missed because of you not adding the indentation. So once you include indentation, then this particular line of code will be assumed that it's part of the if statement. But here, there is nothing like that, so it is going to flag an error. So with indentations, they are really important. So I'm sure as we climb up uh, in this particular language, we'll get to see how the indentation works, and then we'll appreciate it more. So today, we're not going to learn anything about indentation, but I just want to give you a highlight or a heads up on that, so that once we get there, once we see it, we will not ask many questions. All right. So with the indentations, a number of spaces is up to the programmer. The most commonly used is 4, but it has to be at least 1. So we have an example like this. So you can see that this particular line has been indented. This has also been indented. But when you check here, this indentation is quite few compared to this particular one. So if you're indenting at least one space is okay. If you want to go as far as 4, you are welcome. And also note that the remaining block of codes within a particular block, the remaining codes within a particular block should have the same number of spaces. So this line and this line are within the if statement. So we are trying to say that if you have multiple lines under a particular block, if you are using one space indentation, you should go ahead and use one space for the first, the second, and every other line of code under the if statement or that particular block. Don't use 1 and use 5 here. So when you do that one too, it will flag an error. So it says that you should ensure that every line of code should contain the same number of spaces. Please, I'm recording it. Those asking to record, it's not necessary. I'm recording it. All right. That is that for the indentation. Now let's start the game by beginning from variables, and comments. So what is a variable in C++? What's a variable in C++? Anyone? Yeah. If you know the answer, just unmute and just tell me because I don't want to be mentioning names. You don't have to raise your hand. Just unmute and just start talking. I think
Hello,
so far I
sir.
have only one person in the class. Yes.
So a variable is actually a name storage location where you can save stuff in it.
All right. So that is for variable. What about the comment?
There is just a block of code that mostly is ignored by the compiler,
Okay.
mostly for comment readability or something for the people who be using it. Or something like that.
For explanations.
Okay, so please, I said, how is it okay?
Yeah. I think you were still bringing comments in your definition again. That is why I was trying to.
Okay,
Because
thanks.
yeah. So comments are used for like basically I always say teaching or making notes to let or for explaining line of codes. Okay. Yeah. So just note that the compiler or the interpreter will not need to work with the comment. So as we move on, we'll see how to use the comment. So in Python, to use a comment, you use the hashtag to specify a comment. Now in C++, you are using what?
We're using double forward stroke.
Yeah, yeah, the slash, yeah, double slash for the line of code.
Slash.
So line to comment a single line. Then
Uh,
if you want to use for more than one line, what do you use in C++?
the
Slash
forward.
We use the forward slash and a
and
star.
star.
Okay, that's all. That's for the opening, and the closing is the or the asterisk.
The star, yeah, asterisk and a slash.
All right, all right, all right. So comments are used to explain codes. They are to make codes more readable, and also to prevent codes for running from running, especially when you are trying to test the code. All right, so it begins with the the hashtag, and then you can go ahead. So this is an example of the comment. So comment can also be written after a line of code. So print hello world, then you have the comments in here. To work on multiple lines, you need three codes. All right, so with the multi-line comment, you need three opening quotes and then three closing quotes to indicate multi-line. All right, so you can also adapt, one like that. That one too, you are welcome to do that in Python. All right, so variables are containers for storing data values. Python has no command for declaring a variable. A variable can be created the moment you first assign a value to it. All right, so to declare a variable in Python, unlike what's the name? C++, if you have to declare a variable, you need a data type, then you pass your variable name. Then you terminate with a semicolon. Python doesn't work like that. As for Python, all you need is the variable name. Then you can go ahead and assign a value to it. So with C++, so if you have to write this in C++, we have this. But in Python, we don't need the data type. You can ignore the data type when you want to work with that. So, what's the name? Python is saying that if you want to declare a variable, just go ahead and give it a name. You don't need to specify the data type. But once you assign a value, so this is a variable and this is a value. So automatically, Python in its intelligence will know that this particular variable is an integer value. If you go ahead and give it a decimal or a floating point value, to go ahead and know that this particular variable is a floating point value. As well as if you want to deal with a string, it also knows that this particular variable has now changed to a string variable. You don't have to go ahead and specify. Now, if I write a line of code like this in Python, I can still use the same variable name. I can use the same variable name and give it 8.9. Sorry, 9.8. Yeah, so because of the flexibility in Python, this variable name, which is hello or a string variable name at this particular line, when I assign this value to it, it changes its type to a floating point value. But with C++, for instance, once you say int, you don't have to put a string variable or a string value to it. Neither do you have to put in what the name, a floating point value or what we call a decimal attached to. Yeah, so that is Python for you. Yeah, so X here is an integer value, an integer variable, and then Y is also what, a string variable. All right, so that is Python. You can go ahead and just declare without adding the data type. So the same thing, so this I've explained just like this example in here. So X used to be 4, which is an integer, and now X has now changed to a string variable. All right, so if you want to specify the data type of a variable, then this can be done through what we call casting. Yeah, so if you want to ensure or enforce that this particular variable is in a particular type, then you can go ahead and use what we call type casting. So these are the various data types that we shall begin with. We have the string. So to specify string in C++, you have to spell the full string, but in Python, you just need to just say str, and then int is still int in C++, and then float is also float in C++. So these are the various data types that you can deal with. If you don't want to go ahead and specify, just assign values to it, and then uh, Python will do the rest. All right, so to also know the type of data type you are dealing with, you can just use the type function, then you pass in a variable name, and it will let you know the information concerning what type of data type, what type of data you are dealing with on a particular variable. All right, so in Python too, you should also know that the use of single quotes and double quotes can be used in your codes to specify a string. It's highly acceptable. So it's either you are using double quotes or single quotes to show or prove uh, a string value. If any of them that you want to use, you can go ahead and use that. All right. Python is also case sensitive, just like C++. C++ is case sensitive, and then Python is also case sensitive. So we have capital A and then smaller a. So smaller a, capital A. These are different variables when it comes to Python. Okay, when the cases are different. So for instance, I have a variable called age. Age is not the same as, it's not the same as this age. Yes, this age. The same way, this is also not the same as this age. Also not the same as this age. So you can see the same name, but we have different ways of uh, declaring our variable. So once the uppercase and the lowercase, toggle around, they can be seen as different names in Python. So the choice is yours, however you want to write it. So this will be seen as different variable names in Python. There are some languages that, so far the spellings are equal, irrespective of um, irrespective of the cases involved, it will flag an error. Now note that variables are unique. So if you have 1,000 line of codes and you have about 500 variables in them, every variable name is unique. Okay, two or more variables, variable names cannot be used when it comes to the same variable name cannot be used. So in Python here, age here, even though the spelling is the same, but because of the casing involved, it will be treated as a different variable, and you can go ahead and use it as you want. All right, so the rules you experienced in naming a variable in C++, the same thing applies here. So I'm just going to glance through. Please go and revise that. So a variable name must start with a letter or the underscore. So if you are declaring a variable, it must begin with a letter or an underscore. And then a variable name cannot begin with a number, but a variable name can only contain alphabets, can contain numbers, and also underscores. So there are only three ingredients that form a variable. You need a letter, you need a number, and also the underscore. Okay, so these are the only three things that are acceptable. Any other thing is not acceptable. And then once you are declaring your variable, you must ensure that it begins with either the underscore or the alphabet. So as stated in our first point here, it's either a letter or the underscore. All right, so variable names are case sensitive. I've explained that. And a variable name cannot be a reserved word. You know what reserved words are, or keywords. Now, one of the keywords we've seen so far is the print. Okay. All right, so we've seen that the print is one of the reserved words in Python. So if I say print 6.7, is this correct? Would this be acceptable in Python? Or there'll be an error?
There will be an error.
An
Error.
There'll
error.
be an error. Who else has a different view on that?
So please can I, it will be an error because it will acknowledge it as a variable, not as in print.
There will not be any error. There would not be
Yeah.
any error. The remember we are saying that Python is case sensitive. So if a reserved word is using print and I have a variable of which the print is starting with a capital letter, they will be treated as different things. Or you don't understand the case sensitivity.
I guess you.
That's fine.
Exactly. So it will work perfectly. So see something. Let me go ahead and then comment on these guys. Let me save. Go back to my command line. And then let's see Python group be dot py. Sorry. So let's see what will happen. Python. Hi. This. Let me check the name. Groups. Okay. So you can see it is displaying 6.7. So there's no error. But in the advent, where we have, so if I'm to say print here, for instance, and I go back and run this, you can see that it is telling me nonsense here. Built-in function. Yeah, so far as this is not the same. Now this is not the same as this because of the cases involved. So it will be treated as a different thing than the function print that we saw in here. So it will still work. It will not flag it as an error. If I know you guys will get it wrong, I would have just added it to the same question so that you guys will get everything. All right, so that is just a test, by the way. All right, so let's determine which of the following is or are legal. Now, is this line of code legal or illegal? When it comes to
Legal.
Python, legal.
Yeah, it's legal.
All right,
Legal.
let's go to 2,
Legal.
It's legal.
3,
Legal.
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 4,
Legal.
5.
Legal.
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 No.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Number 7 is no.
Coming. Legal or not legal?
Illegal.
Wow. Are you sure? 6.
Legal.
Yeah,
So in
which level
essence,
are we on?
we are on 6. So
It's legal.
Legal. Legal.
in essence, this is what I'll be doing. So I've seen that you guys
6 is illegal.
this is illegal. Seriously?
Legal.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's legal.
can I come in? Can I come
Yes,
in?
please.
All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
in essence, since you guys are so the way you guys are behaving, I've gotten a trick. So in essence, when I bring things like this, then I'll ask you to check whether it is legal or whether it's legal or illegal. Then you go ahead. If it is legal, you explain. If it's not legal, then you explain. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
No
Because
problem.
I can see that some people are just, guessing and oh, legal. And you now get here, they say, or you say, so I'm getting a little bit of an information that you guys still don't know your rules. Now, remember, this is legal. Why? Because it contains a number and letters, which is one of the rules. And then it's beginning with a letter. So it is legal. So the one saying it is illegal, please repent. All right, so point 7.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Why?
Illegal. It started with a number.
With a
Or
number.
what?
What about 8?
Illegal.
It's illegal.
Why?
No, it is
Because
illegal.
it has a hyphen.
A hyphen, all right.
Yeah,
And then the last on the list,
Illegal.
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 illegal. Why?
Because of the space.
The
Because of the
Because
space.
of the
space.
space.
Yes.
So just have it in mind. Exams, you are going to be tested. So when it's legal, you explain why. If it's illegal, then you tell us why it is still on illegal. All right. All right. Yeah. So we are continuing. So multi-words variable names. Now variable names with more than one word can be difficult to read. Yes, we are trying to make sure our line of codes are quite easier to read. In companies, when you are coding, sometimes you may have to send your work to someone else to read. So you have to read and apply whatever he or she has to add up or subtract or whatever the person is looking for. Your eventually be able to, So to make the reading quite easier, we have some tricks to make sure that our variable names are more readable. So one of them is the camel casing. Now, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? Right. So what I'm trying to say here is this: if I have a variable like this, a variable like a price of milk, Yeah. So So now on this particular note, sorry, on this particular note, I will explain something here. Yeah, it's always advisable, per my experience, it's advisable that when you are writing variable names, you must make sure they are descriptive, or it's advisable. So this variable name, for instance, is price of milk. So once I see this particular variable name, I know that this variable is going to hold a price of a milk. Now, tell me what y and x are going to hold. So what is x and y? Now, x and y is a valid, sorry, x and y are valid variable names. But what do they even mean? Have you seen where I'm going from here? We don't know what they mean. But this particular variable name, for instance, tells me a lot. Once I see it and I can read English, oh, price of milk, so I know that this variable name will hold a price of a milk. But when I say y and I say x, what do they even mean? So in practice, so it's always advisable. I always advise my students that you should always try and adapt a descriptive way of writing your variable name, so that even if you're not there and someone else wants to help you with your code, or you want to explain things to someone, when the person sees whatever it will just be self-explanatory, descriptive variables. Yeah, so in the view of that, since we want to always, since always want to use descriptive names, we are having some styles. Now, I'll call this maybe a normal style or lowercase style. There are other styles that we can use, to make the reading more simple. And one of them is what we call the camel casing. So with the camel casing is saying this. Let's read that. It says each word except the first starts with a capital letter. So what we're trying to say is that instead of writing the price of milk in this way, which can be quite difficult to read fast. Okay, now we are going to look at the fastness to read, or the easier way to read a particular a variable. Now this particular variable has three words: price, of, and then milk. So with the camel case, you are saying that the first letter should begin with a smaller case. So the first word, the first letter in it should begin with a smaller letter. Then the next word, the first letter in there should begin with a capital letter. Then the subsequent ones, every word, every letter, every first letter in each word should begin with a capital letter. So price of milk. So when you look at these two words, or these two variables, the second one is quite easier to read compared to the first one. Now we also have another style which we call the Pascal casing. Now the Pascal casing says that every first letter in each word should begin with a capital letter. So this is for Pascal. This is camel. And then we have the last under the list, the snake case, the snake case. Now the snake case, you can use this or that or that, but the difference here with the camel casing, sorry, the snake casing is this. So the snake casing, let me represent that. So price of milk. So with the snake casing, all you need is the underscore price of milk. So you can also do price, sorry, of milk. Then we also have, oh, sorry, redo. So you can go ahead and do price of milk. Yeah, so instead of You know, when it comes to programming, naming variables, you can't use spaces. Okay, so since we can't use spaces, the underscore is the best substitute for that. So you just look at this. Tell me among these one, two, three, four. Let's pick any of this. Which one is quite easier to read?
The first one.
Come again. I said
Snake
the first.
casing.
The snake casing, yes. So the snake casing, which involves the underscore, is quite easier. So you can see that these
The
ones
one you
are,
just highlighted.
yes, these ones are just easier to deal with compared to these ones and that one. All right, so that's variable names with multi-words, how you can go ahead and so these slides have explained what I am trying to do here. All right, so in Python, it is possible to assign multiple values to multiple variables in a single line. So we can see that num1 with this. So all you have to do is to just separate them with a comma. So num3 is equal to 4, 6, and 7. Yeah, so 4 will be mapped onto 1, 6 onto num2, and then 7 onto num3. On a single line, it's possible to do that. If you want to assign multiple values to multiple variables, it's possible to do that. And also, you can also have multiple variables
Mhm.
assigned to, let's say, a single value. So 7 will be mapped, sorry. Here you're supposed to use equal to sign here. Yeah, so one variable can be mapped onto. So we have 7 assigned to num3. So now num3 variable contains the string 7, which is also equal to or mounted onto num2. So num2 will still have 7, and then num1 will also have what? 7 as well. So you can also do that on a single line. Yeah, so you can assign the same value to multiple variables in a single line. So you have x equals y equals z equals orange. So each and every variable here is going to be orange. Yeah. All right. So now we've been talking about the print function. Let's go deeper and let's see how the other stuffs that the print function can do. All right. So we've seen how to print. We've seen one already, so I won't talk about that much. All right, so we have what you call the concatenation. In a print
Yes.
function, hey, in a print function, you can output multiple variables separated by what? Comma. So you can do that by separating them by a group of words. So once we do that, it brings us to what we call concatenation. We can concatenate the various words. So let's try that and see um, how that also works. All right, so we have X. So we are saying Python Y is and Z is also. All right, so to print this, I have 10 minutes. So to print this, so to print, we say X, comma, Y, comma, Z. So I'll save this. Let me go ahead and then comment. To there. Save this. Let me run that. So yeah, Python is awesome. Python is awesome. Now tell me how this will read. Z X Y. How would this be displayed?
Also, Miss Python.
Python.
Some Python is
Awesome Python is. Yeah, so how you arrange, so Z is awesome, so awesome will come first, followed by that, followed by that. Yeah, so under concatenation. So concatenation is nothing but to join a group of words. And to join a group of words, you can use the comma or you can use the plus symbol. So I can go ahead. So let me go ahead and put in X plus Y plus Z. Let's see that one work. Okay, so let me try and go ahead and use this. All right, so let's see the difference between that and that. So this is for the plus, so this is for the comma, and this is for the plus. So you can see that the plus has concatenated, all right, but it leaves no what? Spaces. So if you want to use the plus, then you have to go ahead and include spaces in your work so that it will be more readable. We have Python is awesome. So with the comma aspect, you don't need to add any space. So to have the plus the same as the comma, then I have to go ahead and put in a space, concatenate a space to that, and plus this as well. So here I'll save my work. Then when I go back to the command line, now I can see that the spaces have been added onto your code. Now let's look at numbers. So assuming we have 5, 6, and 7. So let's run and see what will happen. All right, so the first line, the first print with a comma, you can see 5, 6, and 7. But the plus gave us an error. And the plus gave us an error because I added this. So I'm going to remove this from that. And let's try again. So we are using all commas and all plus. So we have this and that. All right, so with a comma, it will concatenate, but with a plus, if you are using actual numbers like integers and also uh, floating point values, when you use the plus, it won't concatenate, but rather it will operate. It will use the plus sign as an operator for calculation. So please note when to use the comma and also the plus. As for the comma, if you are putting a group of strings together, it will work fine. If you are putting a group of integer values or floating point values, it will work fine. But with the plus, if it will only work fine when it will only concatenate, then put that way, when every variable in there is a string. If it's a number or there are numbers or floating point values, it is going to add. And then one disadvantage of the plus is that assuming this is, let's say, Sarah. Now let's check which one will work better. So you can see that with the comma, 5, which is a number, Sarah, which is a string, 7, which is also another number, it has worked fine. But with the plus, it says, I'm sorry, I wasn't built to do that. So it's flagged an error. So the comma is always best when it comes to concatenation. The plus can also do same, but plus ensures that it can only concatenate when all the values in there are strings only. For that, it can get the job done. All right, so this is where our class will end. I'll share the slides with you. So these are various data types when it comes to Python. Yeah, so next week, God willing, we'll continue with Python arithmetic operators. Then the subsequent topics will flow through. All right, so we have 3 minutes to end the session. If you have any questions, you can ask before we close for the day.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, is it okay to ask a question related to Python, but a different field?
No, it should be whatever we've discussed here.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Yes,
hello, sir.
Anderson. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, I want to ask if from the concatenation using the plus, you mean that if there's even one integer, it won't work.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure. Thanks.
Sure. Yes, Kwejo.
Yeah, please, sir. Is it
Yes.
possible for us to get?
Get what?
Is it possible for us to get the subsequent slides so that if anybody is having difficulty in reading that person could print it? The one that we haven't done it.
So this is our first meeting, and this is what we've done so far.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about if someone could get the subsequent one that we haven't done.
No. If you are,
If it is word for word.
no, if you want to go ahead and study, you can go ahead and do your own research and study ahead. But when I come to class, I only share my slides after I'm done teaching what I have for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So I hope everything is cool. Yeah, you guys are good students. Yeah, you guys are good. I've been told you guys are good students too. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
All right. Kekeli, you have a few seconds.
Hello, sir. Please, with the IDs, is it compulsory to use PyCharm, or we can use any other IDs we are comfortable with?
You can use anyone, but remember, if you have any issues on those ones, don't come and call me.
Sure.
All right. So to be on the safe side, let's go. Let's all go with PyCharm. All right.
Yes, sir.
So have a nice day.
Same
Enjoy
to
your
you.
evening as well. Bye.
Bye.